Upon waking up, he crossed over to the Golden Ao Island and became the most ordinary disciple among the 10,000 immortals of the intercepted sect. And suddenly it occurred to me that I once seemed to have taken in a disciple named Xian, who was not the unlucky king of Zhou. Tomorrow is the day when Nuwa Palace offers incense and the great apocalypse of sealing the gods begins. Qin Tianjing couldn't help but panic, and suddenly a voice rang in his mind. Successfully signed into Jinao Island. Obtain the life and death skill, Star Shift. Sign into Chowga successfully. Obtain the hidden abyss and shrinking ground by shrinking the ground into inches. Successfully signed into Wa Palace. Obtaining the goddess of Nuwa's mediation of creation can create something out of nothing, reverse life and death, overturn cosmic rules, and define new rules. So Qin Tian simply but only silently checked in, while Lo Qi guarding his disciples, ambushing and anti-ambushing with the teachings of Chan and Western religions, ambushing and anti-ambushing, beating and hanging, and stumbling everywhere. I don't want Qin Tian to hide in the dark and gloomy Jingshuang when the golden list suddenly appears, exposing both the good list and the evil list. Shan Bang. First place on the Understanding Bang, taught to the Qin Tian Taoist on Jinao Island, and rewarded with one great Tao golden pill. Shan Bang. First place on the Compassion Bang, intercepted Qin Tian Taoist from Jinao Island, rewarded Master Tong Tian was shocked and said, "How could there be such a disciple under my teachings?" Evil list. Third place in In-Person list, Yuanshe Tianzhuan Kunlun Mountain's primordial heavenly sovereign couldn't help but turn his old face pale. Evil list. First place on the In-Person list, intercepting the teachings of Qin Tian Taoist on Jinao Island in an instant, the entire wilderness fell silent, and all the saints were shocked. At the same time dominating the evil list and good list, Qin Tian expressed that he really wanted to keep a low profile. Keywords of the novel. Fengshen. Opening King Zhou becomes my apprentice, no pop-ups, Fengshen. Opening King Zhou becomes my apprentice, complete TXT collection download, Fengshen. Opening King Zhou becomes my apprentice, latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. First, stab the Western religion, for collection, for deduction. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. First, stab the Western religion, for collection and recommendation, Cheng Tang's Song of the Great Shang Dynasty. The 9 Great Halls. The monarch of the Great Shang Dynasty was dressed in a black long-sleeved royal robe, and his eyes were clearly as if he had lost his soul. A voice echoed through the 9 Great Halls. I, Shangrong, am in charge of the court, and I dare not fail to report anything. Tomorrow is March 15th, the Christmas day of Empress Nuwa. Please come to Nuwa Palace to offer incense. The ruler of the Great Shang Dynasty, Mu Ran, said, "What is the merit of Nuwa?" The lone king rode lightly and sent incense. The civil and military officials in the 9 great halls couldn't help but have different expressions of tranquility. Shang Rong respectfully reported, Nuwa, the goddess of ancient times, was born with sacred virtues. At that time, the Gonggong clan's head did not touch the Zhou mountains, the sky tilted northwest, and the earth sank southeast. Nuwa used 5 colored stones to refine them to supplement the blue sky, so she made contributions to the common people. Li Shu established a sacrificial altar to repay her. In today's worship of this god of blessing, the 4 seasons are prosperous and peaceful, the country is long and prosperous, the weather is favorable, and disasters may disappear. This blessed country is the righteous deity that protects the people. Your Majesty should go and offer incense. The ruler of the Great Shang Dynasty, Mu Ran, couldn't help but say, as per the report of the quasi-minister. The palace of the Great Shang Dynasty. The monarch of the Great Shang Dynasty remained motionless as if he had lost his soul. But without anyone knowing, 2 figures appeared in front of the Great Shang monarch at an unknown time. I saw a slender figure, dressed in a blue long-sleeved robe, with a sharp and angular face that could only be described as handsome, while a head of black hair naturally flowed down from both shoulders, appearing free and unrestrained. The other person is a figure wearing a bamboo hat, wearing a linen skirt and shoes, but even if the scarf covers her face, she still looks stunning, clearly also an extraordinary and desolate fairy. The person in the blue long-sleeved robe is Qin Tian, who was originally a mediocre Qi practitioner who taught Jinao Island. However, at this time, he has become a soul from later generations, while also integrating his original memories. Then Qin Tian Kai realized that his original self was not ordinary, at least he had accepted a famous disciple. It was the great Shang monarch who had already been calculated before him, and the king Zhou, whose name of debauchery and immorality has been passed down for generations to come. But the disciple in my memory, Emperor Xian, was a young man who was quick to argue, had exceptional talent, was born with divine power, and valued emotions and righteousness. He was immediately interested in his talent and was accepted as an apprentice. Later, it was discovered that his identity was actually that of the crown prince of the great Shang dynasty. Therefore, his master secretly fled without justice, and his disappearance lasted for more than 10 years. Did I really have no emotional attachment to this disciple's great merchant monarch? Qin Tian could clearly feel that he really missed this former lover. Especially now that I know the ending of this beloved disciple, I will first be inscribed with a poem tomorrow to desecrate Empress Nyua, causing her to be infuriated, sending demons down to the lower world, confusing the ruler's heart, so that he can kill his wife and children, and be debauched and immoral. At the same time, someone arranged for the appearance of Fengming Qishan over Naki Mountain, and the celestial phenomenon of the birth of a saint in Shiqi, which is said to be a fusion of Tang and extinction, and the Zhou family should be revived. Then the favored Empress Jiang was killed in her own hands, and her only 2 sons were also chased out of Chaoga by her own men. She was also taken as an apprentice by Guangchengzi and Chizizi, who happened to be preaching, and finally instigated the 2 sons to use their sons to attack their father. All loyal courtiers were killed by the teachings of Zanjiao, and all those around them were also killed by Yin. Even Daji, who fell in love with him in the end, was beheaded by Jiang Zia Shao. In the end, he was sober but would rather burn himself in the star-picking tower. Thinking of his disciple being bullied to the point of self-immolation in the end, Qin Tian, even though he knew it was not his own feelings, couldn't help but blush slightly at the sight. Who dares to plan their own disciple this time? The stunning female fairy in the wilderness on the side is actually Han Jixian, one of the only 2 familiar immortals on the golden Ao island of Zhejiao. As Qin Tian's eyes turned slightly red, he couldn't help but comfort him softly. I don't expect this great Shang monarch to be a disciple of Qin Tian's junior brother. I don't know who dares to plan against the great Shang monarch, but this great Shang's Grand Master Wen was also arranged by senior sister Jinling to assist the great Shang. At the same time, he couldn't help but be slightly surprised. I always thought that this Qin Tian junior brother was the most honest person on Jinao Island, but I didn't expect Qin Tian junior brother to still be such a person of great affection. Qin Tian flicked his finger and immediately a clear-colored pill popped into the mouth of the great Shang monarch. The pill melted at the entrance, and in an instant, the eyes of the great merchant monarch began to concentrate and instinctively looked towards the 2 of them. Immediately after seeing Qin Tian's unchanged figure, his eyes couldn't help but turn red. Without hesitation, he suddenly knelt down and kowtowed, "Master." Thinking of the scene where the ruler of the great Shang dynasty died by self-immolation alone in the star-picking tower, Qin Tian couldn't help but shed tears. He stepped forward and supported him with both hands, saying, "From now on, this world. You don't have to kneel to anyone, even if it's a saint. I have been unable to come to see you for some things over the years, and I hope you don't blame me. In the future, who dares to plan against you again in this world? As a teacher, we will never give up with him. Today, as a teacher, I have one thing to command you." Qin Tian couldn't hold back his tears for a moment, which also made the great Shang monarch unable to resist excitement. On the side, Han Jixin couldn't help but look even more surprised. In the past, none of the disciples of the sect could see that Qin Tianqi's younger brother was such a passionate person. The emperor of the great Shang couldn't help but blush with excitement and said, "Master, if you have anything to do, please feel free to give orders." These days, the disciples have been confused, as if falling into an abyss. They can clearly feel Master standing in front of the disciples, but they cannot be clear-headed. Fortunately, Master has pulled the disciples back. Qin Tian couldn't help but nod and said, "I'm not old yet, but you have grown up and become the ruler of this Tang dynasty merchant. I came today, but I know someone is plotting to assassinate your disciple Shang. However, you don't have to worry, and remember that I will always be behind you from now on. Please wait for me to come and fetch a bow for you. Hanji senior sister, please wait for a moment. I will teach my friend Hanji Xian senior sister as a teacher. You can call me teacher in the future." The ruler of the great Shang dynasty quickly bowed respectfully and said, "I have seen teacher Hanji Xian." As Qin Tian spoke, he turned around and walked away, only to disappear from the palace with just one step. In an instant, Hanji Xian couldn't help but be slightly shocked and said, "What divine power is this, Qin Tian junior brother?" With just one step, the shadow disappeared at the same time. He spoke lightly, "Your Majesty, there is no need to be too polite." However, as soon as he finished speaking, Qin Tian's figure flashed in front of the two of them, but he already had an ancient bow and 3 equally ancient arrows in his hand. It was written on it, "Li Jing, the general of Zhenchintang Pass." Once the Yellow Emperor Ji Xianyuan shot and killed Qi Yu's Qiankuan bow and sky-shaking arrow. In an instant, both of them were shocked and excited. Han Jixian's beautiful eyes flashed brightly and looked at Qin Tian, almost unable to resist blurting out a question. "Qin Tian junior brother, what kind of divine ability are you? This Chaoga is thousands of miles away from Chintang Pass in the north. How could you blink and return?" The monarch of the great Shang dynasty couldn't help but feel excited, his hands trembling slightly. "The Qiankuan bow shakes the sky with arrows. Master has such a divine ability. In the blink of an eye, go back and forth to Chintang Pass." Qin Tian casually said, "Tomorrow, while Nyuhua Palace is offering incense, there will also be artificially arranged Fengming Qishan celestial phenomena on the West Qiqi Mountain, as a sign to respond to Fengming Qishan. The West Qishan has given birth to a saint, and the heavenly days will be merged and extinguished, and the Zhou dynasty will prosper. Let Fei Lian arrange for someone who can pull the Qiankuan bow and shake the sky arrow to wait at the foot of the Qishan mountain. When the Fengming Qishan mountain appears tomorrow, he will shoot it with an arrow to break through the celestial phenomena that surround him. And tomorrow when Nyuhua Palace offers incense, no matter who goes to offer incense, they will also write poems to desecrate Nyuhua Empress, causing her anger. You continue to arrange for Fei Lian, but he is not an ordinary person either. Tell him to invite Ji Chang to come today, no matter what, and tomorrow he will replace you in offering incense to Nyuhua Palace. As a teacher, I need to see if they have arranged the number of days for Tang He to destroy the Zhou dynasty and become prosperous. If Ji Chang had written a poem to desecrate Nyuhua, would it become Tang He to destroy the Zhou dynasty and become prosperous? After offering incense to the Nyuhua Palace tomorrow, you immediately sent out a message. It was a small, scruffy Taoist with a deer head and a mouse eye, and a slender nose who gave you a dream, asking you to arrange for someone to hold the Qiankuan bow and the Jintian arrow to wait below the Qishan mountain in advance. It was also a dream entrusted to you by that messy Taoist to ask Ji Chang to offer incense in the Nyuhua Palace instead of you, but I don't know at the same time. Western Lingshan. Beside the 8 treasures merit pool, I saw a Taoist sitting cross-legged with a yellow-bearded face, as well as a small, scruffy Taoist with a deer head and a long nose. Suddenly, the scruffy Taoist with the purpose of the Zhangtu mouse couldn't help but twitch his eyelids and open a pair of gloomy old eyes. First update of new book release, seeking collection and recommendation tickets. End of this chapter. In Chapter 2, I must have carried the hidden abyss and shrunk to the ground, seeking collection, seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 3. Fengming Qishan's unlucky Ji Chang, seeking collection and recommendation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 4. Fengming Qishan's unlucky Ji Chang, 2, seeking collection, seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 5. Goddess Wa of the Wa Palace, seeking collection and recommended tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 6. Fengming Qishan's unlucky Ji Chang, 3 seeks for collection, seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 7. The low-key first person of teaching, seeking collection and recommendation tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 8. Spiritual beads in the pit before their birth, please collect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 9. The unlucky Zhongnan Mountain Cloud Neutron, seeking collection and recommendation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 10. The mysterious master of the great Shang Monarch, seeking collection and recommendation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors.